Welcome, everybody. Eric Johnson with you. This is the Raider Corner. Of course, you can listen live anywhere, anytime, weekly on Clear 101 KLIR, and also on the video side of things on the CCC NEB website. You can go down in there in the athletics page and take a look at video. And of course, video of eSports, another fascinating topic that's many of you are probably unaware of. And joining me is Coach Lumbra. And Coach, first off, welcome. Appreciate the time. And eSports, well, it's unique. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I mean, esports, it's a newer thing. We've been around here at Central for about 4 years, but we're fully integrated with our athletics program. I get to offer scholarships to the students that compete on my teams. We support a number of game titles. So if anyone's not super familiar with the term esports, essentially, we have a lot of different video games that we have teams that compete against other teams around the country. It's a lot of digital competition online, so not a ton of like face-to-face interaction necessarily, but we do get to do some travel and things like that as well. And yeah, really exciting. And we've gotten to meet some really cool programs across the country, and yeah, got some national championship wins under our belt too, which we're really proud of. And yeah, I could go on and on, but yeah, it's a really cool program that we have here, and we're happy to continue supporting it.
And of course, I can nerd out. I know many of our the fans listening in or watching on the video podcast off the website probably don't understand the concept of it. First off, tell us about the concept of the esports program and give us a little taste of what the Raiders have done thus far.
Yeah, so we have four main game titles that we support. So Fortnite is a very popular one that we added recently. If you have, if you know somebody who's younger, probably in that like anywhere from like older elementary school to even high school, they've probably played Fortnite at some point in their life. We have a Super Smash Brothers team, so that's one of our Nintendo fighting game titles, as well as Call of Duty. That's another esports title that's been around forever since late 2000s. And then Rocket League, which is another incredibly popular title around the world. So those are the main titles that we support. We have teams competing in all of those, and scholarship teams, I should add as well. So all of our students will kind of pick one of those games to focus on. They practice really hard. It's very similar in terms of schedule to what you would expect from a traditional athletic. So we're practicing upwards of 8 hours a week, as well as weekly regular season competition. Again, most of that competition is going to be online, but we get to compete against local teams like Iowa Western, or relatively local teams like Iowa Western, Southeast Community College, as well as some bigger matches as well against teams like across the country. We played against a team in South Carolina, U of SC Sumter. They have some really good teams out there too. So our national championships, which we were able to win in spring of 2023, those matches were against teams in Texas. So yeah, a lot of good experience and a lot of fun. Like I said, kind of competing against all those other primarily two-year schools across the country.
And I know this has been kind of a growing sensation a lot with the high schools across the state of Nebraska. I know my son in particular, like we talked off air about, lots of competition in towns, in schools that you never would expect to take place. And do you guys kind of mirror the same principles and all that stuff from the high school leading into the collegiate level?
It's definitely operated a little bit different, but yeah, huge shout out to NSCSA, Nebraska Schools Esports Association. They do a really awesome job getting high school clubs and programs involved in some very legitimate and meaningful competition. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the state tournament that was a couple weeks ago in Fremont, I believe. But congratulations to all those teams that were participating there.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think the high school, they like kind of, to highlight some of the small differences. High school, they have different games kind of competing at different times of the year. So students can kind of come in and pick multiple games that they want to compete in throughout the season. Whereas here at Central, with more collegiate competition and the way our practice schedule kind of works out, most of my students, almost all of my students, I should say, pretty much just pick one title, and then that's their primary focus for the entire academic year. So we'll have a separate season in the fall and then a second separate season in the spring each year. So each of those seasons will have its own kind of preseason, regular season, and playoff structure. So a team that wins in the fall, can be named national champion, and then it basically starts completely over in the spring, and then a separate national champion will come out of that spring season. But all in all, it's a year-round competition. But yeah, we do get to really highlight and work with some really talented students that do start in that high school kind of arena. And I have some national champions that I've been able to coach that started off competing at their local high school in Grand Island, for example. And it's really cool to be able to support that. And like I said, shout out to NSCSA because they do a really awesome job.
I mean, kudos. I reciprocate. I just the program, the structure, how they got to get all the kids involved, I think is a great opportunity. And I know at our local school level, bringing that into the fold as another program that kids who are not athletically interested can take part and be gifted in that skill level. I think it's outstanding. For my question is, a lot of athletics know how to go out and kind of recruit. How do you do this recruiting process looking for the best of the best here across the state?
Yeah, so we actually, our partnership with NSCSA is super valuable, but we also do a couple tryouts each year. So we actually have one coming up next month, January 5th. We'll be starting our annual open tryout, and that's available to any current CCC students, prospective CCC students. So anyone who has a high school diploma and is considering going to college, maybe they took a year off and eSports is something that would be a draw for them. They could throw their hat in the ring and participate in that tryout and potentially earn a scholarship offer that way. And then as well, any current high school seniors who are set to graduate at the end of this academic year, they would be able to participate in that open tryout as well. And from there, it really gives me the opportunity to kind of put this group of tryouts, as well as some of our current athletes, into the same game, kind of competing against each other. And that helps me to kind of form a baseline of what I can expect. And from there, standout participants will receive those scholarship offers for the upcoming academic year, if they're current CCC students, they may be able to join the team in the spring, but if they're graduating seniors or prospective students, they might not be able to start until fall of 2026, but that scholarship offer would be on the table for them. So that's one of the ways that I really like to kind of get an eye on everybody. And it really helps too with things that maybe not as obvious for your esports competition, but still super important, such as like attitude, communication, teamwork, knowledge of the game that they're playing, whether that be like map knowledge or matchup knowledge, the variety of different information you need to kind of go into one of these esports titles and be successful is quite large. It's quite daunting, but it's what makes it so much fun.
And so parents, if you're listening or watching in, lots of incredible scholarship opportunities can be here for a program like esports. I mean, all the parents are like, oh my gosh, how are we going to pay for school? There's ways. This is getting to be a top tier situation in a short amount of time for a lot of good students coming through the system. And of course, how many do you have currently on the roster right now there at CCC?
We have about 20 spread out across our 3 main campuses. We always end up with a majority of our students in Hastings. For some reason, can't really say for sure what that is, but we have about 10 in Hastings, and then the other 10 are spread out between Grand Island and Columbus. But 20 is a pretty good number for us, but we're always looking for more opportunities to add to our list of game titles. So Fortnite, Rocket League, Smash Brothers, and Call of Duty, like I mentioned earlier, we could always look to add to that list and potentially expand to include additional teams and things like that. We do support multiple rosters for many of the games that we support as well. So Call of Duty, for example, which is a 4-person team, we do support 8 scholarships for that title in most cases. So we get to kind of not just focus on the minimum number of players needed to participate, but we really want to give athletes who are interested the opportunity to improve and get competition and then progress and maybe get promoted to a higher level of roster, things like that. So we really want to give these students who are coming in and wanting to compete the opportunity to learn and improve as well.
We're talking here with Coach Lumbra. This is the Raider Corner, and of course, a few ticks on the clock. And I appreciate the time with you, Coach. My last couple of questions for you. One, what has been the most popular game amongst the teams,
Mhm.
and what's been your popular game to see in competition?
That's a great question. I was surprised when we first started. We kind of put out like a bit of a survey to all current CCC students who are interested in potentially getting involved in esports, and far and away the most popular title was Call of Duty, which was one of the main reasons we kind of launched with that as our premier first-person shooter option. And yeah, I can't deny that I've grown quite fond of it. It wasn't a game that I played a ton of when I was younger. You know, I know a lot of people grew up with their Xbox or their PlayStation playing Call of Duty. I was always more of a PC gamer myself, so it wasn't a title that I had a ton of experience with. But I do have a first-person shooter background. I competed in Overwatch primarily when I was in college, and that was one game that really got me into esports. So it was really cool to see my experience with Overwatch being a first-person shooter, not quite the same as Call of Duty, still transfer over a lot of my experiences and knowledge and skills. Also, it was the game that we won our national championships in. So that's one that I'm super proud of. And yeah, certainly has been a super popular title for us. And we continue to compete at a high level within that game. But I will say too, Fortnite is one that's just exploding in popularity. It feels like right now a lot of students who are graduating high school within that age group kind of grew up with Fortnite. And it's crazy for me to think that, because it's only, it's been around for, I guess, 7 years now. But
Yeah, 7 with the new edition that just came through. So
yeah, so I guess, yeah, if you're graduating high school and you got into gaming around the time that I did in your life, Fortnite was probably the go-to. So it makes sense, and that's one that we continue to invest in and make sure that we're competing at a high level within that title as well.
which I gotta say, I'm mourning the loss of the battle bus. I don't know I like the new edition, the new feature. Got to get used to it, but the battle bus, OG, I tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I'll add to that too. The addition of the no build mode. A lot of people who've been playing Fortnite for a long time, the building mechanic was really what revolutionized that title, I think, in the space. But it was just a couple of years ago they introduced no build, which I think makes it a much more balanced and competitive environment, and that's seen a lot of resurgence in popularity for that game as well.
So let me ask you this: if there was one game that you wanted to add into the
Hmm.
fold, I know you got one in mind. I could tell. What
Yeah.
would be the one game? I mean, on the student side, their favorite. I guess your side as well. What would be the
Mhm.
one game that, man, I wish we could have that in the equation?
Man, on the student side, I get a lot of requests for different games, and I will say too, if anyone listening it comes to CCC and wants to compete in a game that I haven't mentioned, there are plenty of ways to get involved, not necessarily at a scholarship level right off the bat, but we have some intramural opportunities that can kind of prove as a testing ground for a lot of new games. So it's actually fairly accessible to really start from scratch if we wanted to add to this list. So to that end, I get asked all the time about a variety of different titles. So it's hard to pin one down. But if you were to ask me personally, I think Overwatch would be the title that I do wish we were able to support. Unfortunately, it's kind of fading in popularity at a national and global scale. But it was one that I invested just a insane amount of time in when I was in college and competing myself. So yeah, it definitely is a game that I hold very near and dear to me, and it would be really fun to have a team kind of back in competition. But we'll see. If the cards are dealt the right way, maybe that's something we pick up sooner than later.
And of course, you bring up a good point. People would be aware of the program, want to be involved with the program, and of course, the parents are wondering, my kid is going to play video games. How do they talk to you? How do they get a hold of you? And how can you
Yeah.
reassure them?
For sure. Yeah. My email is always available. Also, if any students are using Discord, that's a good way to get in touch with me as well. But yeah, my email is lucaslumbra@cccneb.edu. I don't know if that could be linked anywhere, but I'm always happy to field questions from parents or any prospective students. If you are part of a high school program, you can always ask your coach to reach out to me as well. And I would be happy to set up a meeting to talk about what it is that we offer, what some of our expectations are for the program, and whether it would be a good fit for really anyone who's interested. And then, of course, I mentioned that tryout that we have coming up. I would be able to send out just a Google form application to get involved in that tryout if that sounds like something that would be appealing to anyone, to potentially have a scholarship offer in hand before deciding on what school you want to go to starting next fall. So yeah, plenty of cool opportunities. And like I said, I'm always available and open to have a chat with anyone who's interested.
Well, Coach Lumbra, I appreciate the time. Quick reminder, let everybody know when's the tryout taking place, location, and you got the time set up or not?
Time's not quite yet, but the tryout will take place January 5 through 9. So it's about a week-long process. Not every game title will take place on every day during that span. So that's one of those things I have yet to flesh out. But like, for example, we'll probably do like Fortnite on Monday and Tuesday that week, and then we'll do Call of Duty on Wednesday and Thursday. And, we might double up some titles, but so it'll probably be a 2-day process for anyone who's looking to try out for just one game title, but you can also try out for as many as you like. And it will be fully online. So I do ask that anyone who wants to participate has their own hardware that they have access to, whether that be through their high school program or a personal computer or console. Anything like that would be just fine. The only real requirement is that you have access to Discord, because that's how I rely on communicating with anyone who is interested in trying out. But yeah, we try to make it as easy as possible for anyone who wants to throw their hat in the ring, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And the age group for that one is any prospects, junior, senior in high school, or what's the game plan for that?
It's only available to graduating seniors for this year, but we will look to expand that and provide opportunities for juniors as well in the future. But for right now, we're looking at just graduating seniors, and anyone who otherwise, whether they're a current CCC student or someone who's considering college options who has already graduated, it's open to them as well.
Can't wait to see what happens. I know we will probably personally be talking as well.
Awesome.
Coach Lumbra joining me here on the Raider Corner. Thank you so much. Good luck with the eSports program. I know it's going to be going by leaps and bounds, so appreciate the time, Coach.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.